Okay, cool. What are we doing?
So we just watched the video, and now I need to talk about these questions. So we're talking about the counseling theory video. Or what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, counseling theory. All right. Why would the recreational therapist refer her client to a doctor? In theory.
I think part of it is because maybe what has happened was not in her level of expertise, and maybe she needed another person to help with the situation.
Because there was one point where he was like, "Aren't you supposed to help me with this?" And she was like, "Yeah, within my field." But so pretty much she was really wise and mature to accept the fact that there was something beyond her, understanding. And so she reached out to the doctor. But I think it's weird that the doctor had a worse office than she did.
That's all that matters. The office.
How could she have handled the situation better?
I think she was a bit harsh at the beginning. Like, she could have been handled things a little bit better.
She said something at the beginning. I don't know what it was referring to, but she said, "My assistant said he wouldn't tell anybody."
So that's another thing. Something's going around.
I don't know what that was referring to, but that probably was wrong.
Well, yeah, because if then it just meant that she told her assistant something about him. And she can't. Duh.
So,
And she was just kind of harsh at the beginning.
she was. I mean, she calmed down at the end. I think she realized, like, she needs to help him.
She cared more about the protocol and the procedure than the person. Like, she didn't put the client first.
I think in the end she did, though.
In the end,
she was like, "Yeah, I could lose my job, but blah 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 blah."
That was funny how he called her out on that.
Like, she was like, "This is to protect you," and he's like, "And you." She's like, "Yeah."
Sure.
Okay, what are some ways she handled the situation well?
She took off her coat and her scarf. I don't know why that had to be so dramatic.
Did you notice at the beginning it was open, and then when it was at a different angle, her jacket was buttoned up, so she had to unbutton it again?
No,
I watched the video a couple of times.
That's really funny.
I was trying to understand the beginning.
I think another thing she did well was she walked the client down to the doctor's office. Like,
Yeah.
she took him because he was so hesitant about it. She took him through the process, and then she sat there with him to help
She saw
ease it, instead of just being like, "Go down and see the doctor," and then like leaving it at that. She actually like went through the process with him so that he was comfortable with it, which I thought was very good.
Yeah, I also thought it was good, like, how in the end she was just like, okay, this is enough about me. I need to focus on the client and the patient. And so then,
she had to switch.
Yeah, she switched, and she's like, okay, now let's focus on you, and let's give you someone else who can help you better than I can.
What are some of the counseling techniques that she utilized?
Well, I think after the switch, she used person-centered therapy, like focused on a person.
I don't honestly know what counseling techniques are.
Wait. Give me a second. Or two. Oh, those are theories. Yeah.
What are the different theories?
5 major theories.
Oh, these are part of it. Yeah.
The psychoanalytic, behavioralistic, cognitive, growth psychology, or positive psychology.
Shouldn't we use growth psychology?
Sees people as being self-aware, able to deal with environmental influences, and control of their own destiny.
I think it's honestly hard for us to figure that out because it was so vague. Like, we don't know at all what his problem was. So it's hard to know, like, what theory she used, I think.
I just think the video was very confusing.
It was.
Okay. Now
So
that we arrived at that conclusion.
ultimately, in the counseling video, she told someone she wasn't supposed to, who then went on and told someone else, and then it came back to him, and it harmed him and made him more insecure to solve his problems. And so then she took him to a doctor for some reason because she
I don't know
couldn't
what a
handle it
doctor
on
would
her
help
own.
with that.
So I was trying to think about this the other day when I was watching this video, like what could the problem have been? I wonder if it was like, this is just me hypothesizing.
Yes,
And this could mean nothing, but like maybe he was like abusing prescriptions or something like that, and that's why he needed to go see a doctor, and it was out of her field of work.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And he
Okay.
was like, well, why can't, like, he felt more comfortable with her, and he's like, well, why can't you just help me? And it's something outside of her field, and she was like, you need a doctor to help you with this.
But at the same time, our field does work with drug addicts.
Yeah, but they
But
can't
not
help, like, we can
prescribing.
only help with, we can only use recreation as a tool. Like, he needed a doctor at that point to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, like, he was self-harming. Well, we can help someone cope with that and deal with that and, like, use recreation as a therapy.
Yeah.
We can't help they need to go see a psychiatrist or something, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just kind of theorizing to try to put it into perspective because I understand.
Well, that makes sense to me.
So that's what I went with. Okay.
Ethics case study.
Good talk.
I'm a CTRS.
Wait, we need to talk about veracity and informed consent. It says always provide clients with complete information about who is doing what and why he or she is qualified to do so, what is going to be done and why, and how it's going to be done, when and where. So I am a CTRS and work at a community day treatment center for the chronically mentally ill. Many of the treatment programs involve taking clients out to various community recreation resources so they feel comfortable in public and to practice social interaction skills learned in group. When I assign patients to the community integration group, I tell them that we visit various places in the community. One day I decided to take the group to the Space Needle for something fun to do. Plus, it was a beautiful sunny day in Seattle, Washington. We arrived and I told the group, surprise, we got free tickets to go to the top of the Space Needle. Most of the patients were quite excited and thrilled as we rode up the elevator. One patient, Marvin, seemed very despondent and uncomfortable. We got to the top and almost everyone was on the observation deck checking out the views of the water, mountains, and city. Marvin stayed inside the gift shop area, so I insisted he come out and look at the views. Well, Marvin freaked out and started yelling to take him down the elevator, so I had my assistant stay with the other patients and I took Marvin back down to ground level. After the other patients came down, we returned to the day treatment center. So in your group discussion, identify the behavior.
Kelsey.
Thank you. Well, you see, I think that going along with veracity and
Veracity, is that how you say it?
that's how I decided to say it. I also could say veracity.
Veracity.
It just reminds me of,
Veracity.
I just think of the city of Verona. I don't know why.
Anyway, she wanted to surprise them because that's fun, but she's also working with people in a mental health clinical situation. So they might not respond the same way as the average Joe. And so she should have really taken that into consideration. And she should have, before leaving, said, this is what we're going to go do, so that Marvin could have stayed behind and everybody else could have had a better experience.
Or maybe Marvin would have had a better experience if he knew what was going on, because some people don't like things being sprung up onto them, and so they don't end up enjoying it. But maybe if he knew and he mentally prepared for it, he would have been more ready to participate in that.
I don't think she was completely wrong in like wanting to surprise him and take him out to do something fun. I think she could have done it in a way where they were at the treatment center and she was like, surprise, like she could have done it then and been like, we're going to the Space Needle, we got some free tickets, like I'm really excited. And then maybe at that point, like he could have approached her or she could have approached them, or, you know, like been, you know, maybe talked him through it a little bit more of like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Here's what the Space Needle is. Here's what we're doing. And kind of talked him through it back at the treatment center so that if there were any things coming up, like obviously she couldn't predict if that was going to happen even after she told him, you know, like that's a whole different thing. But I think she could have, like, her intentions were good. I think she just needed to rework the approach of it.
I concur.
Okay, determine professional relevance.
I always forget what that means.
How is this relevant to
Our profession, well,
Our
I mean,
profession.
it kind of goes along with what you're saying. If we're dealing with clients or patients, we need to make sure that we tell them exactly what's going on, step by step, and like, I mean, not to bring Grey's Anatomy into it, but
every time?
Literally every time.
Every time.
plus it's in Seattle, Washington. That's where Grey's Anatomy is.
Dude, I want to live in Seattle.
Anyway, anytime they come into with a new patient, they always list everything about that client, like the assessment, what they're dealing with, and then they also talk about what the surgery is, and they go into detail saying what they do into the surgery so that everybody understands and knows, including the client, so they are not misled or in the dark when it comes to their own personal health.
It's like what Sister Greenwood said yesterday. She was like, most, and I'm not saying that this was going to lead to a death, but most accidental deaths are because of miscommunication.
Word.
And like, I don't know how I came to that conclusion on how this relates to this, but like most accidents or incidents occur because of a miscommunication, and that's really what this was. Anyway. All right, differentiate personal and or professional values and ideas. And ideals. Well, her personal ideal was that she wanted to surprise him.
Which wasn't a bad thing.
No,
It was sweet.
but she should have done it in a different.
Mhm. But professionally, when Marvin had his freak out, she left. And she had her assistant stay with other people.
Which was
She
fine. Is
was
that a good
protocol.
thing? Yeah.
that is good.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that if they had a lot of people, she had more than one assistant. But it was really good that she, as the CTRS, was the one who went down to Marvin. That was really
And
good.
she didn't tell him like suck it up situation.
I honestly feel like her only flaw in this was just that she didn't front load it and talk to them about it before they left and walked them through what the process was going to be.
Mhm.
Everything else I feel like she did really well.
Well, also, I think something she could have done better was when because it said like Marvin was like withdrawn and was like not very excited as everybody else was. She could have talked to him before going up and said, "How do you feel about this surprise?" and like blah blah blah, and she could have resolved it then.
That's true.
And maybe made him feel better about going up, and she could have stayed by his side the whole time rather than blah blah. You know.
Okay, consider legal duties.
She should probably put that in his progress now.
Yeah,
He did
She
not
should
like
document the
surprise.
activity.
Well, she should document it with all of them, but definitely make a note of.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah. But I think legally she also handled, I mean, we already talked about this, but just adding on. She followed protocol. She had an assistant stay with them. She obviously had an assistant with her, at least one on the outing, which was following protocol. So that was good. Assess ethical obligations.
so. I guess obligations would be like her taking care of the clients while away from the facility. Like her obligations were to watch over them and make sure nothing would happen.
Yeah, and I think you touched.
What were you saying?
I think you touched on it earlier, Morgan, when you said she wasn't like suck it up. Like ethically, she honored his opinion,
That's true.
and she just like went down with him. You know?
I mean, I think she did a great job. She encouraged him and was like there. But I think also, yeah, along with that, like she recognized, okay, like he's not, like this is not his thing. We need to do something about it. And she took him down and he went from there.
And way down we go, go, go.
So determine action.
Future American Idol winner right here.
So I think we kind of already.
Vote now. 555. Kelsey is rad.
Wait, I thought it was 5, 5, 4.
It's always like 5. No, 555 is always.
Uh-uh.
I thought it was 5400 Kelsey.
Anyways, determine action. I think we already talked about that. She should have either front loaded him and told him at the treatment center and walked him through the process, or at least when they got there and she recognized that he was distant and uncomfortable, she should have talked with him and walked him through it and maybe took him up personally after the rest of the group had gone up and he was more comfortable.
Yes.
But because she didn't do any of those things, the action now would be she took everybody back to the treatment center. She needs to fill out on the progress notes how Marvin reacted, and she needs to be more aware of that, of his behavior in the future, and also realize that other clients could react that way in the future as well, not just Marvin.
And maybe doing a training,
Debrief.
a debrief or a training with her assistants on, okay, we need to front load these people and making sure that everyone's aware that that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think also debriefing with the clients, saying, "What did we do? What do you think? How was it fun?" Blah, 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 blah.
Do you think she should do that one-on-one or as a group?
I think maybe one-on-one with Marvin, but a group probably would be fine with everybody.
I mean, they can do a debriefing of the activity itself as a group, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking. I
Oh.
just wanted your guys'
But with Marvin, yeah,
I don't
maybe
think there's right or wrong
one-on-one.
There's always a wrong answer.
There's something that's
No, because repentance is a real thing.
Yeah, but so is prevention.
That's true. Sorry.
Was it about how rad Brother Benson is?
Yeah. No. Sorry. No.
Well, I'm gonna stop this.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else to say?
I can't think of it right now. I'll tell you guys later.
Oh, did everyone notice how flawless Morgan's hair looks? Oh, look at that flow!